Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the StarCraft 2 stage, and we have a match for you before the finals, which may very well be just as good. And this is going to determine who goes through as third place and who is fourth, which, you know, it kind of matters. The amount of money is pretty high for third place. You want to do that, and plus, of course, the honor of finishing in third.
Yeah, I think both these guys qualified to be playing in it. I mean, I don't know the rules, but this is just me speculating. I think this gets them in on that next MLG. I think we had 4 guys qualify into this MLG from that, which is a pretty big deal because, as we can see, obviously, a lot of people like watching StarCraft. There's over 120,000 people on this stream. You guys are here. We're pumped. I think this matchup's going to be great. MC's been tearing up Terrans all weekend long, but Innovation, he's been known to take a few names himself.
This is going to be a really interesting match. This is between the guy who has been single-handedly slaughtering Terran drop play versus the guy who's been dropping the most in this entire tournament. He has the fastest drops, he has the most multi-pronged drops, and he seems to be the most precise with them. So this is a definite clash of styles, and we're going to see how it turns out. Okay, ladies and gents, this will be a best of 3 for the consolation match before the grand finals, and it's my pleasure to introduce to you a man you just recently saw on stage, now fighting for third place in the southwest position of Cloud Kingdom. In the red trunks playing Protoss, it's SKMC! Versus his opponents that went undefeated before running into none other than God himself. In the northeast position, in the blue trunks playing Terran, STX Soul Innovation!
Innovation earlier in this tournament tearing apart Rain, looking seemingly unstoppable in the TVP matchup, but his adversary MC has been doing the same thing on the other side of the fence against his Terran opponents, utilizing that Oracle, but then also his Phoenix play to conflict with the drop-heavy Terrans, a part of the Swarm. And you said that their styles conflict. I agree, but I think if I'm going to conflict, I'd like to be MC, the guy that's hard countering that right now.
Pretty much, yeah. And the cute thing is, he's not hard countering it in just a single way. People are saying, oh, what a great Stargate build. It's actually like 4 different Stargate builds. We've seen a defensive Phoenix build, which is designed to counter early drop play, specifically Widowmine. What we learned, of course, is that Widowmines don't do much if they're flailing their little limbs in the air and getting shot to pieces. That's an effective way of getting rid of them. And then, of course, we saw 2 different Oracle builds. We saw the standard Harass, which is a 2 to 3 Oracle build. Great if it catches your opponent off guard. And then we saw an Oracle Bust from MC, which didn't work as well, honestly.
No, it didn't work as well, but the way it functions, and especially in a best of 3, because there's fewer games to make these mistakes, but when you're facing a bust build or you know a guy is capable of doing that, then that means that you have to have that in the back of your mind. You're like, okay, I'm going to expand. I usually build 1 bunker, but for this guy, I'll build like 2, and I need to be scouting out there and be very aware of the fact that if I let my guard down, all of a sudden he's kicking the door down. And you talked about those Oracles, and you actually mentioned something super important. Those Oracles, they're like game ending if you're outside of position. If you don't have that missile turret, if you don't have enough Marines, or if you just get caught unawares, you're actually just not going to be mining for the next 2 minutes and maybe not have anybody to mine after that.
No, I mean, I think it's unfair to call Oracles harassment. I think that's not a strong enough word to describe what Oracles actually do to your mineral line if you don't immediately get out of there or do something about them.
You're absolutely right. They actually just fry harvesters so fast that I actually like that you kind of key in on the word harassment and say, I don't know if that's quite what it is. It's more like they abduct, but instead of abducting, they just blow them into pieces.
I harassed them to death over the course of about 20 seconds.
I infinitely like what you just said more than what I just said. It's not making any sense at this point in time, but that's fine. We'll let these players play it out for us. The Stalker out in the map, checking around. This is the kind of stuff we're talking about. We have seen Terrans proxy their factories and get those Widow Mines into the base ASAP. A lot of times before detection, be it Robo or Oracle, and MC is playing, well, he's playing like he knows that that's possible.
Yeah, and he's also playing a completely different build to what we've seen previously.
Yeah.
And I don't blame him at all. You gotta think about this for a second. Wow, that is, yeah, this is a different way to play it. I am really surprised that we haven't seen much of this so far.
Yeah.
And it is, let's be honest, it is a Blink Stalker, 4-gate, 1 base. It's pretty much all in, especially considering what he's up against here.
Yes. I actually had the honor of seeing Rain do this against Innovation, on a very different map, a map not quite as good as this one, by the way, for this build, because the area around that main base allows you to blink up into it while also challenging the natural location. So it's very, very good for that. Now let's take a look at how their builds line up. He's going to want to be able to hop up the cliff and do some harassment on the interior of Innovation. And as we can see here, he's got a medevac and a couple of mines coming out, but not a lot of units.
Marines coming in from the back right here, trying to flank this Stalker. The Stalker will just get away.
And these Marines are exposed. Blink's going to finish, it looks like, what, 20, 30 seconds, maybe just 20?
Yep.
If these Marines book it back home, they should get there. But did they actually see that there's no natural? Because that would be a huge tell. I think they did. Or did they not, actually, now that I think
Looking at the visibility right now, it doesn't appear that they did, from what I could tell. Looking at the path that they went, they essentially cut across the path from the natural to the third and then back, but I'm pretty sure they didn't fully check.
Well, there's a couple things going on right now. We can actually see a bunker being built inside the main, so whatever read was made, Innovation now knows what he's facing. He's also making a tank, and remember, siege mode is no longer required. So this medevac could get intercepted, though. So in the middle of the map, the Stalkers are right next to it. They're going to make that. There's the blink, and they just barely don't get the medevac 20 health with a single.
Interception! Where did that come from?
Go down.
Oh, wow, that was incredible stuff. Careful. MC's not going to be caught out by that. Where did that Stalker come from? MC.
Well, that's what Innovation's asking that question right now.
Yeah, he's scratching his head, hopefully not for too long. That really ruins your APM.
Yes. Of course, with his APM, he could probably handle it. But there is still a mine outside the base. He needs to know that because it could end up going home. Now, there's an observer idling inside MC's base because he knows that's a possibility, and that's really nice. Because even probes at this point could actually hold it down. But with that tank anchored by the bunker and now 3 Marines outside that. Now, remember, they don't have combat shield or stim, so they're not very dangerous in their own right. I think MC's going to be able to do quite a bit of harass here. It looks like that tank's going to push him over. And now, here's the big question. Does MC continue to add Stalkers, or does he expand? Well, with that last Warpin', I think he might just go for it.
Well, he's gone with another 4 Stalkers. His numbers are pretty good here. The tank count is starting to increase. He tried to knock out the gas there. Wasn't able to do so. That would have helped greatly to delay the number of tanks coming in that general direction, or to delay key upgrades like Stim, or the possibility of getting medevacs out, for instance. He's building probes again, though. That's what makes me think that he will continue on this. But that means he's got to do some reasonable damage to make this worthwhile.
And totalbiscuit, you're exactly right.
Oh, he is not doing that at all. I was completely wrong. That's a Dark Shrine coming in here.
And I like this a lot better. If you guys did catch the Rain versus Innovation match, I felt like Rain delayed his tech just a little bit too long. The nice thing about the Dark Shrine, too, is it's not very mineral intensive from this point, so he actually still could expand and then buy some time, get those DTs and those mineral lines, and start absorbing not only scans, but perhaps killing some SCVs in his own right as well. He's going to blink forward, though. Does pick off a tank. He's down to just 2 tanks now, 1 in the back and now 1 in the front, and that's going to make it harder for Innovation to defend his whole base.
And the best thing about this is, of course, he pushes the CC back for a fairly reasonable length of time and is able to sort of close the gap of the economic advantage that Innovation would have otherwise had. He's still ahead economically. He's got the mules. He's got a fully saturated, in fact, more than saturated line. Now the Nexus is going down here.
Now, in the background, that mine did try to enter into MC's base. It didn't make it. The Stalkers and the Observer picked it off, but very importantly, he did not see a Nexus. So at this point in time, he says, uh-oh, you're really going hardcore 1 base, so I'm not going to worry about it. Now, I look at that production tab. I don't see an engineering bay, so he's not guessing DT, but he knows it's 1 base, so he has to expect something coming his way.
The question is, what does he expect? Warpin's already begun. Single Dark Templar, second one to follow it up. Now moving in with the army removed from the base, thanks to this Blink Stalker attack right here. Innovation perhaps feeling a little bit confident, thinking, hey, this is looking good. He's still on 1 base. This is totally fine for me. His Blink Stalker all-in didn't work, but this is no Blink Stalker all-in at all.
Innovation.
This is followed up.
Doing such a good job. He pays attention. He sees that DT trying to make its way in, and he stops it, denying it entry. Meanwhile, outside on the field, there's a Marine tank medevac force making its way across the map. It's just a couple of scans away from being, revealing that DT. And these Marines with the medevacs are really hard to deal with, not to mention the tank. Actually, the Nexus gets canceled. MC is on 1 base.
Wow. All right, fair enough. We're going to slice up a few mules here and there and do a little bit of economic damage, but these DTs are certainly being annoying, and they're not being handled all that well in the base right now because Innovation's focusing on killing MC, and it's going to go up the ramp completely uncontested. There are no force fields. He could not prevent that from happening, and now he must engage with Zealots in the middle of that pack. A gateway goes down as well. Innovation, a fantastic fantastic position, anchoring here on the ramp down to the natural. More units going down here as well. Dark Templar moves into the fray here. We could see another scan try and deal that. He's going to go for the tanks, trying to place down a missile turret as well. MC trying to hold on here.
The problem is with this many Marines at this point, yeah, okay, go ahead and kill the tanks. That's only half the problem, if not even less than that. The Marines are in the middle line. They're picking off the precious few probes that are still available to
Psycho's
MC.
down. This is looking really messy right here for MC. Very, very difficult to come back from this position.
I think he kills the army. The DT is picking off individual Marines, but he's going to retreat into a world where there's a full, like, the Terran's economy has not been touched, really. He's got a missile turret at the top of that ramp. DTs are no longer really that big of a threat, and even so, I might have overspoke, like these Marines are still doing some damage here.
Yeah, they really, really are. They're continuing to push. You managed to keep the medevac awake for just a couple of seconds longer there with excellent micro. The energy on the medevac is now down. He's going to try and back out. Blake comes in, second volley, down it goes. MC smashes that army eventually, but he took a lot of damage in the process. He's going to try and expand out again, take down this missile turret here, but this single Dark Templar trying to do work here and there. Workers kill looks something like this. Innovations kill 15, MC only 10. You would expect more damage from a big backstab with Dark Templar, and he wasn't able to get it.
Yeah, he needed more damage to be done. Now, I will say this, so there's only one tank here, and, well, there's two tanks, but they're both on the low ground. If MC wants to, he can get up and reveal that high ground and then just blink in there and, again, cause some problems. The Marine count, it's pretty high, but it's not so high that there's a snap call versus these Stalkers. The Stalkers could stand toe-to-toe with these Marines, especially after they pick off that medevac.
Oh, wow. If Innovation actually had scanned there and nailed that, that would have been amazing. Nice one down on the medevac here, taking minimal damage on the Stalker's shields. Looking to blink in, and Innovation sees this coming, but he's not able to move up quickly enough. Right into the main base go those Stalkers. Marauders now in the fray. No concussive shell, but they're still going to do an immense amount of damage. Blinks out, takes a little bit of damage on the Stalkers. A couple are going down here as well. Trying to pick at Innovation here, but it's becoming more and more difficult.
Innovation doing a great job sniping that Observer, knowing that for at least the next few moments he's going to have the ability to leave his base should he choose without having those Stalkers blink up into his base. It's very unlikely that a second Observer is anywhere in that region. The reason I point this out, though, is because otherwise Innovation's a little bit pinned. If he moves out, he should know that those Stalkers could blink up into his base and do a tremendous amount of damage only to blink out unscathed. That being said, we are seeing Innovation continue to add tanks. He's just now abandoning that factory and putting a reactor on it, supposedly probably for the starport, but he's building out a tank Marine Marauder medevac army, and that is a tremendous army to deal with if you don't have things like Immortals, Templar, or Colossus.
Colossus is on the way for him here, but due to the amount of damage that was done, the late nature of his expansion, he's only just put down his third and fourth gas because he's just got his Nexus back up. That really limits his tech options here. He has to pick one, and that is going to be Colossus. That's what he's banking on here. He's already up against a superior economy and a superior army, bringing the Mothership Core finally into play.
It's not a bad choice. Innovation is very Marine heavy.
Yeah.
Now, I know it's anchored by tanks, which of course changes the analysis on this, but I guess the point I would make is that with a couple of good force fields, perhaps a good engagement, or just running up a ramp, it doesn't take a lot for the Colossus to remove the girth of this army, if you will, the Marines, the guys that are making up the majority of it. And if he can do that, he can get in on those tanks. But I gotta say, I'm looking at both these players, and we're having barracks go down, we're having a third command center. I don't know that Innovation's comfortable pushing out, which would actually give MC more of a fighting chance as far as I'm concerned.
What's really interesting is the amount of Marauders he added to the composition here. He doesn't know that the Colossus is there, but he knows about the Robo.
Yeah.
So he knows the possibility that, yes, there could have been a robotics bay put behind that. Another scan nails down an Observer. Innovation completely on top of this right now.
He really is. I mean, that Observer was not even actually... I don't know, it wasn't revealed and then retreat or anything like that. He just saw the disruption of it. He's looking for him. Innovation's playing at the top of his game. These tanks are going to move out and occupy a space where there's a junction between the natural and the third. So this is going to allow our Blue Terran to safely take said third. And on 3-base economy, it's going to be tough because I'll tell you what, here's the other effect that happened to MC. He's not sure if he's going to get a push. Whenever a Protoss sees tanks, they're like, uh-oh, you're making those to come attack me. So MC this whole time has been prone to boosting out units. He's been very much so not emphasizing probes. He's mined out his main. And well, lo and behold, there's just going to be an economy behind it. Well, it looks like still a push anyways.
Yeah, he's going to go for it. And he's still adding 3 Marauders at a time. More Marauders than Marines are being added, and Vikings as well. There's no way in a million years he didn't know several minutes ago what was likely to come at him, which is insane when you think about it. But if you were to just boil it down to its essentials, it's the most logical conclusion based on what you know your opponent has, or more accurately, what he doesn't have.
Innovation almost looks like a Zerg. It's about to attack from 2 different angles knowing that he just has more stuff. That's going to be his advantage. And here we go. He's coming from the right side. Tank's unsieged. It doesn't matter. Stimming running into a fight. Not a lot of Stalkers here. In fact, I think they might be... actually, I don't know where they are. It doesn't really matter. Tank's going to siege at this location. Photon Charge doing what it can, but I don't know what it can do in this situation.
And that Colossus isn't going to come out either. Cancelled as the Robo goes down right here. This is a crushing hold. He has his hands around the neck of MC now. He's squeezing for all his worth. MC currently trying to bide his time, waiting for a chance to strike, but there's not a lot for him to do that with.
No.
The Stalker squad at the front immediately obliterated. Superior firepower from his Terran opponent. 2 Colossi will now fall, and Innovation looking to take this first game right here.
Beautiful play by Innovation, shoving up, showing the patience to sit at the base of the rocks, allow his other army to set up, and if need be, he was going to go for this round. MC had to back up and was hoping for those force fields to capture the majority of that army so that his Colossus could do the damage, but Innovation was constantly stutter stepping. You could see his tension. He knew the only way he could lose that was good force fields, and he never allowed it as a possibility.
No, he didn't. He played an impeccable game. And he also played against a really interesting style that we haven't seen from MC this entire tournament. And it's interesting to see the way that the tournament kind of has its own little metagame, right?
Yeah.
Whereby players are mind-gaming other players, strategies are evolving based on what you know that the opponent does. But do you really know what the opponent's doing, or is he using that as a method to do something completely different and catch you off guard? Well, apparently Innovation says it doesn't really matter.
Right.
Because I'm going to fight and I'm going to beat whatever you do there. An aggressive 4-gate Blink Stalker attack, pretty much a failed all-in, leads to a DT attack, which also fails, and then an incredibly late Nexus, which just puts him so far behind.
Well, before we let Axelav do some analysis on it, I just want to add on to your point, because I think it's a really smart one. MC has done a fantastic job all tournament long of using the Stargate to high success. You and I were chatting about this. We knew that Innovation had seen this and was going to perhaps prepare for it, but MC busts out a strategy that he has not shown all tournament long. It didn't work this time, but in this best of 3, there's a good chance that it might have put the mindset in a place where Innovation says, he's capable of anything, I need to be ready for anything.
That's absolutely true. Now the question is, do we see MC default back to what he was using to great success up to this point? We're going to find out with Axelav and the NOS Performance Replay.
Thank you guys. Here at the NOS Performance Replay, we saw MC try that Blink Stalker attack. It didn't quite work. Now, there's a lot of factors that go into this. The big thing is that Innovation figured out exactly what MC was doing, and he prepared ahead of time. So if we rewind this back to about the 7-minute mark or so, one thing that's really amazing that he did here is that when he built his bunker, the placement of the bunker is so key. There's many players, and even at the pro level, who often place the bunker bottom at the edge. In fact, actually, if you can bring up the touchscreen, one pretty cool thing is that if you have the bunker near the edge, the problem is you think it sounds good because you got the high ground, you're shooting down the Stalkers. The Stalkers can come up and they can just shoot you from the low ground with the Observer or the Mothership Core at detecting you. If you put the bunker back up here, if you notice this, what's going to happen with the Stalkers is they have to blink up to get to the bunker. And then as soon as they blink up, the bunker basically has a range of something like this around its whole base, right? And this range protects basically all the movement paths of any units he's rallying out. Any units coming out of this factory, they'll be in his protection zone or the starport or the barracks. Everything is very safe back there. So it's just a perfect little location for to put that bunker. And then of course, what he does later for actually get back in the replay and play for about another minute or so, we can see as soon as he adds that tank in there, that tank can sit there behind the bunker, and that combination controls his entire base without having to spread his units out. The more the Terran spreads the units out, the more openings these Stalkers have to pick off one Marine here, one Marine there. You see, that's what they're doing here, picking off a couple Marines. But as long as he can keep his units grouped, he can cover everything while keeping his army together. And of course, in a heads-up battle, Marine tank is going to beat Stalker straight on. That's it for your NOS Performance Replay. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you very much, Axelav. And hopefully that take comes
guy
off the screen later on.
Yeah.
I don't think BenQ would be all that happy about that. Can you stop ruining our monitors? What you don't actually know is that's not really a touchscreen. They bring out a new monitor for every single replay. There's a pile of painted monitors.
Nobody has the heart to tell them. It's like it's a weird. It's like, Nick, stop it, and they just like keep bringing them out. It's part of the sponsorship deal too, I guess.
It's just how it is. Well, I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
So why do you think that MC, the most forward-thinking Protoss in the tournament, the guy that said, no one else is playing Heart of the Swarm right now. They're playing Wings of Liberty.
Yeah.
Just opened up with one of the most Wings of Liberty-esque all-ins that we've seen. I mean, it's not even the HOTS variant of it, which is the 1-base 4-gate blink with Mothership Core. It was Robo with Observer.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
One of the things I like about MC is actually he's a true competitor in the sense that when you put a microphone in front of his face, he'll call people out, he'll say what's going on, he's got his opinions, and I really appreciate that about him because it makes things more interesting. But then when he sits in the booth, he's actually only going to do what it takes to win. So for him, this variant of that build was the thing that he was most comfortable with, and that was what he thought would give him the best chance for success, so he went with it. And he's totally okay with saying the exact opposite and then doing whatever it takes to collect the next $350,000 he's going to win.
All right, well, let's see if he can up his game and indeed up his payout in this tournament. He's currently down 1 game. This is a best of 3. It's consolation match. So it is match point for MC. He has got to pull out something better than that. And we'll see whether or not it's its trademark Stargate build or whether something completely different will come from the boss toss. We'll be going to a quick break. When we come back, game 2 of MC versus Innovation.